Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 podcast. I'm Hugh. I've got Dara here with me, and this is the opposition fan view video for the City United game on Sunday. We did our own preview with Louis 11 for the City kind of perspective, and now we've got James from the One United podcast, who has very kindly come on to give his thoughts on the game. James, how's things with you, mate?
Good, yeah, good. Just editing a podcast as we speak, so just taking a bit of time out from doing that to join you. Very happy to be on, though. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks for coming on. What are your thoughts going into the game? Obviously, we're on a massive run at the moment, 21 wins in a row. You're kind of struggling to score goals at the moment, but from a United perspective, obviously, what do you think going into it?
It's a weird one, isn't it? United City is it's always unpredictable. Like we were very successful last season against you, which is giving me a little bit of hope. I think we're one of those teams. Yes, with 3 goalless draws in a row, and then we'd suddenly pull out an incredible performance against you. It'd just be such a United thing to do. So I'm
Yeah.
really conflicted going into the game because everything is pointing towards you absolutely battering us. But there's every chance that it could go either way.
That's the thing with these derby games, isn't it? It could always go either way. And we were actually saying that in the City preview with Louis, that it's just so typical for United to be maybe not getting the good results and dropping points, but then as soon as they come out and play against us, they absolutely smash it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where do you think the main goal threat for United is going to be this weekend? We said Cavani and maybe Rashford, who's struggling at the moment. But how do you see City or United breaking down the City defence?
It's going to have to be a counter attack. I think it's a bit of a weird shout, but I think Dan James could be very important for us because of that. Obviously, it'd be stupid of us to come to the Etihad and try and dominate possession. So that's not what we're going to do. But I think that when we beat you last season, especially at the Etihad, Dan James, I think he ran Angelino absolutely riot, didn't he, down that right hand side? So I think he's going to have to be a very important player for us. I think Rashford, he's not been himself for quite a while now. Really, he's getting a few goals and assists here and there, but performance-wise, he's really depleting. Obviously, I don't think you'll struggle to mark Bruno out of the game. It's a pretty common theme in big games, so I don't think he'll be the difference maker either. And then, Cavani's coming back from an injury, and Martial's not on form at all. So I think, as bad as it sounds, it really does all lie on how well Dan James performs, because I don't think he's going to be a particular threat that City will go out to pick up on. I think he goes under the radar a little bit, but yeah, if he has a good game, I think we might stand a chance.
Yeah, I was there that game you're talking about where he ran amok against Angelino and he was class. And he is a player that kind of quietly frightens me with that blistering pace he has. He's capable of cutting up in our defence. There's no denying that. Dara, what are your thoughts on that? You weren't with us for the preview with Louis, but what are your thoughts?
No, I think we should be winning. Obviously, again, we are coming in on, wasn't now 21 wins in a row.
And United are 21 unbeaten, I'm pretty sure, as well. So
yeah, 21 unbeaten away from home. So it has all the setups for a good game. But I think when you mentioned Dan James, he ran Angelino into the ground. But I think Zinchenko, he's a considerably better defensive left back than Angelino is. So I think for James to have to be able to tear him down all the time and have to have the best game of his career.
They do have quite a few attacking options that scare me, but the one I want to talk to you a bit about, James, is the main man, obviously, Bruno Fernandes. There is this kind of theory going around. I don't know if you buy into it. I want to get your thought that he doesn't turn up in the big games. I've watched him plenty of times. I watch United most weeks, just out of curiosity, hoping the points will drop. But he's never really turned up when I've seen him in the big games. Do you think there's a reason behind that, or is it just pure coincidence?
I think he's very much a victim of the people around him. I think you go into a United game, especially for the big teams who have the ability to mark players out of the game, and you think, who's the only real threat in that team? It's Bruno Fernandes. If he doesn't play well, United don't play well, especially with Paul Pogba out missing. So it's very easy to just take one player out of the game. If you don't have other threats to worry about, you isolate Bruno Fernandes, make sure he doesn't have a good game, and United won't win. So I think if we had, an attacking lineup anywhere near the quality of yours, or a midfield anywhere near the quality of yours, because we are still considerably worse off, I think then it might be a little bit different. The opposition would be worrying about other players and picking up on other threats as well. Whereas at the minute, it's very easy for them, especially because Bruno Fernandes doesn't quite have that, the pace or whatever sort of quality you need to really break the lines and make a load of space for yourself. He's not quite got that David Silva quality, if you will, where he's just impossible to mark. I think he expels a lot of energy pressing, which means he doesn't quite have the same amount of energy when going forward and he's darting forward and stuff like that. And I also feel like with the midfield we've got at the minute, especially without Pogba, he's having to drop a lot deeper to pick the ball up, which means he's obviously going to be no sort of threat near the goal because he can't be in two places at once. So I do think it's not necessarily him. While he is frustrating to watch sometimes, he gives away possession quite a lot as well. But I think mainly it is the fact that there's no one really around him at the minute that's anywhere near his level.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. But I do rate McTominay when he's in the pitch. I think he's a cracking player.
I think he's a very good player as well. I know there's people we know who don't rate him at all. I think he's actually a very decent player. I think that people who say that he's just an average run of the mill player, I just think they're just overlooking him a bit, you know.
I think he could cause a bit of damage in the weekend. You know, Rodri would need to be in top form going up against McTominay. Do you see him playing any part in the game on Sunday, James?
I really hope so, yeah. I can't sit through another 90 minutes of Fred and Matic as a base of midfield. I think McTominay is the only one out of those centre midfielders available that gives you any sort of threat going forward. He's got a bit of that Lampard knack of arriving late in the box and he's a pretty good finisher as well. So I think he can be a goal threat when he's allowed to attack, but it'll be on how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer actually deploys him. If he wants him to just sit and form a base in front of that defence, then McTominay might win the ball back a few times, but it'll be pretty useless going forward in that sense.
When you mention
absolutely.
When you mention the defence, what way are they going to have to set up now to be able to quieten City as much as they can?
That's $1 million question, isn't it? I think Maguire's going to start. There's no shifting Maguire from the lineup, whether fans like that or not. It'll be between Bailly and Lindelof. I think Lindelof's carrying an injury though, so it's more than likely going to be Bailly, which worries me because
a game against Palace, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. The thing that worries me is that Bailly reads the game like a dyslexic person reads a book. He's just not very good at it at all. Which, you know, when you're playing against Pep Guardiola, you need to have some sort of reading of the ball, and he doesn't. He's incredibly quick. He's very good in the air. He can put in a very strong tackle, but a quick 1-2 past him, he doesn't stand a chance. So I'd have probably preferred Lindelof, but we will more than likely see Bailly, given that he's a bit of a doubt, and you can't play players who are on sort of 75% of the full fitness against Manchester City, can you? Because you'll just get picked off.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. And I assume Shaw will be in that back four. He's a player that's kind of surprised me this season. He's kind of turned his career around, and he's an attacking threat really down that left wing now, isn't he? So it kind of begs the question for Pep who he thinks our right back should be to match that. What have you thought of Shaw this season? He's been one of the shining stars for me, anyway.
Yeah, he's one of those players that you can always rely on to have a 7 out of 10, especially this season. Obviously, he's been very inconsistent, but he's sort of been given a new lease of life. I think the relationship he's got with Rashford down that left, when they're both on top of their game, is just unstoppable at times. Obviously, given your defensive record, I don't think you'll have many problems stopping anything. But I think, you know, especially when you compare him to Wan-Bissaka on the other side, he is like a prime Roberto Carlos going down that left. So I think he's massively improved on his delivery as well. He's getting quite a few assists this season. To say, I think he only had about 2 in his whole career before this season, and he's got 4 or 5 now this season. So, you know, he's improving every game. He's one of those players you can rely on. I think he's probably, as weird as it sounds, he's probably our most consistent performer. I think Bruno Fernandes has a real knack of just disappearing from games and popping up with a goal. Whereas Luke Shaw is, because we focus a lot of our play down the left, Luke Shaw is such an influential player in this team, and you really notice him when he's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the point I was trying to make. I don't watch enough of United to know who plays well week in, week out, but he seems to be making the headlines, and United fans seem to be praising him regularly. I want to talk a little bit about the actual league table itself. There's obviously quite a gap between City and United. Thankfully, probably not something you like talking about or speaking about too much. But how do you see United closing the gap? I don't mean like obviously this season, but in terms of next season and going forward in general, how do United close the gap between them? Because it's quite clear that City are streets ahead at the moment, but it won't be like that forever. How do United go about combating that?
Yeah, it's not going to happen next year. Absolutely not. Especially with the fact that we're not gonna invest massively over the summer if we go by what Solskjaer said. And I think the problem United have is that City have 2 full starting 11s that could challenge United. That's how good their squad depth is. I think you look at City's bench on any given day, it could probably get a result out of United, and that's what worries me. Whereas we had I think our only attacking players on the bench against Crystal Palace were Shortieri and Amad Diallo. Then we had two midfielders on the bench that were Matic and McTominay, and then other than that, we had a goalkeeper and 4 defenders on the bench. So we don't have that depth to keep up with you, especially in a season like this. And our starting 11 itself is not good enough to even get anywhere near you. I think we're making excuses for players like Fred because he's the best we can do at the minute. I think we all try and see the positives in him, but he's not a midfielder that's going to win you the league. I think there's probably even a case for saying McTominay's not a midfielder that will win you the league. I think he's one of our better players, definitely. He'll keep us a consistent top 4 side, but he'd get nowhere near your side, would he? That goes without saying. I don't think he'd even get on your bench given some of the lineups that you pull out. So I think Dan James obviously not up to quality. Martial arguably now, given his form, is not up to quality. Rashford, if he gets a bit of consistency, could be, but you then go backwards. I think De Gea and Dean Henderson aren't anywhere near up to this level of Edison anymore. We don't have good enough centre backs. I think Maguire on his day can do a job. Fullbacks are pretty consistent now, so I'm pretty happy with that. But it need a full squad overhaul to be anywhere near you. I think we just the only thing we could possibly try and do is just chip away at this points advantage that you have over us season by season. Because if reports are correct and you're getting one of Haaland or Messi in next summer, it's going to be no fun for anyone next year again.
Yeah, you said you don't think they're going to invest this summer. Why do you think that? Because I would have thought, with them being second place, I would have thought at the start of the season, first of all, that if you'd said to United or Solskjaer, you'll be in second place at the end of the season, you'd be pretty happy with that, because I would have thought top 4 was kind of the aim originally. But now that they are in second place and they are able to get to that position, you would have thought that if they make a bit of a push in the transfer market this summer, they could potentially close the gap or even challenge whoever it is, City or Liverpool, next season.
Yeah, well, it's these sort of things that are the reason why United hate the owners so much. I think if you take COVID out of it entirely, COVID's a big factor, obviously, but you take COVID out. I was writing a piece at the start of the season where every time United gets qualification for the Champions League, their net spend that summer drops drastically. So these owners are very content with the prize money you get for entering the Champions League every season. But it offers them no benefit to spend 250 million on players that will win you the league for an extra 30 million pound in prize money. That's the sort of owners they are. They are owners of a business, not owners of a football club, and that's why even if COVID wasn't a thing, the owners would take that massive paycheck they get from UEFA for getting in the Champions League, and they'd think, how can we stay here? How can we ensure that we don't drop out of the Champions League? Not how can we ensure we win the league next season?
I know, Dara, you've got a question or two for James you wanted to ask. You want to fire away?
Yeah, only the one, mate. Would you be Ollie in or are you Ollie out?
It's a very tough question because it's very clear he's not a manager that will win us the Champions League, maybe not even the Premier League. But he has been he's done an incredible job at just stabilising the club. Bringing back what United are about. He's promoting youth. He's made a he's created a lot of harmony in the dressing room as well, which is a big problem we've had for a number of years, is these big egos clashing. So he's done nothing to warrant the sack as of yet. So I'm definitely not Ollie out. But if in 3 years' time he's still at the club and if in 3 years' time he's still at the club, I don't think in those 3 years we'll have won a league or won a Champions League as such. I think he'll never get to the levels of obviously Pep or Klopp because they're special cases, but I'm not even sure if he'll get to the levels of Nagelsmann in his career. So it's a difficult one. He's obviously not the most tactically aware manager, not aware, but tactically astute is probably the phrase you'd use. I don't think he actually knows. I still don't think he knows what tactics he employs on a regular basis. But I'm still far from Ollie out, if that's what makes sense. I'm in a bit of a grey area in the middle.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. I think a lot of United fans are kind of on the fence as well. But I think we're going to put up, first of all, James's full United predicted 11 to start against us on Sunday now on screen. If you have any thoughts on that, be sure to leave it in the comments. We like hearing what you have to say, etc., etc. But I did my predicted score with Louis in the City preview. I said 3-1. I think United will get a goal, and I just feel it'll be Cavani for some reason. I was a bit more confident the other day. But I
Yeah,
said
I knew he'd
3-1. I
announce.
feel like Cavani will get the goal. Dara, you weren't in that video. What are your score predictions?
I'm gonna say 2-0. 2-0 C.
Comprehensive. James, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go 1-0. I think we'll cling on to this 0-0 and then we'll get a penalty somewhere because we always seem to. So I'll go. I think we owed a bit of karma from that.
Fernandes out again.
Yeah, exactly. We're owed one from that Chelsea game as well. So I think karma will repay us a little bit and we'll nick a 1-0.
Fair enough. Hopefully that's not the
Hopefully
case, but one could hope, I suppose. Massive thanks to you, James, for coming on. It was great to have you. It's always great to get an opposition fan view for these games. Be sure to check out their podcast if you're United orientated, or if you're just curious as to what sort of content they make around the City games, obviously the United games. Leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. We're trying to hit 150 subs by the end of March. That's the goal. We'd really appreciate it if you could do that. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.